shouting, "Your helicopter will explode!" Everyone laughed, thinking it was just child's play. But the single father quickly pulled his daughter back, his face showing unusual tension. Minutes later, the truth left the CEO speechless. Daniel Cole, 38 years old, single dad with slightly long brown hair, wore an old work jacket. He worked as a repair technician. His daughter Sophie, 8 years old, bright and intelligent, often accompanied her father when he took overtime jobs. The father and daughter arrived at the small airport to repair a generator. Staff members looked at Daniel with disdainful eyes. "This is a VIP area. Don't let your daughter wander around." Sophie curiously observed the shiny new helicopter. Olivia Grant, 32 years old, CEO of a financial corporation, appeared with her entourage, preparing to fly to New York. Everyone around focused only on Olivia. No one paid attention to the poor father and daughter. Daniel had served in the military as an aircraft engineer before his wife died. He left the service to raise Sophie alone, taking simple repair jobs to make ends meet. His skills were far beyond what people assumed. The airport staff treated them like unwelcome visitors. "Sir, please keep your child away from the aircraft," a security guard said sharply. His tone carried the automatic dismissal reserved for working-class people in elite spaces. Daniel nodded politely, but his trained eyes automatically scanned the helicopter's exterior. Years of military training had made observation second nature to him. Even in civilian clothes, carrying a basic toolbox, his mind still functioned like the expert engineer he once was. Sophie stood close to her father, watching the busy preparations. She had inherited her father's attention to detail, though she was just a child. Her bright eyes took in everything: the way people moved, the sounds of machinery, the subtle tensions in adult conversations. "Daddy," Sophie whispered, "something sounds different about that helicopter." Daniel looked down at his daughter with surprise. He had taught her about engines and mechanical systems during their quiet evenings at home. She had an unusual ear for mechanical sounds, a gift that reminded him painfully of her mother's intuitive intelligence. The wealthy passengers boarded their limousines while Daniel and Sophie waited in the service area. The contrast couldn't be starker: designer clothes versus work uniforms, luxury cars versus an old pickup truck. Private security guards watched them with barely concealed suspicion. But Daniel felt no bitterness. He had chosen this simple life to focus on what mattered most: raising his daughter with love and integrity. Every sacrifice had been worth it to see Sophie grow into the remarkable little person she was becoming. Airport workers continued setting up for the VIP departure. Red carpet, champagne service, photographers, everything was arranged for Olivia Grant's departure. The display of wealth and power was impressive, but Daniel had seen enough of that world to know its limitations. Daniel finished checking the generator and prepared to leave with Sophie. He collected his tools methodically. The same precision he had once applied to million-dollar aircraft systems now focused on a simple electrical repair. Sophie secretly tugged her father's hand and whispered, "Daddy, I hear a strange machine sound, like in the books you taught me." Daniel felt a chill of recognition. As Olivia prepared to board the helicopter, Sophie suddenly shouted, "Your helicopter will explode!" The crowd burst into laughter. Several people took photos. Kids say the craziest things. A security officer snapped, "Sir, control your child." Daniel pulled his daughter close, but his eyes remained fixed on the helicopter's engine. He recognized the abnormal vibration sound, exactly like a malfunction he had studied during his military service. Daniel shouted, "Wait, stop!" The flight manager became angry. "You're just a cheap mechanic. Get out of the way." Olivia frowned. Why did the little girl say that? Daniel took a deep breath. "If you want to stay safe, let me inspect it. Just 1 minute." After heated arguments, Olivia reluctantly agreed. Daniel climbed up and quickly inspected. He discovered a cracked fuel line with gasoline leaking near the electrical system. If they took off, the helicopter would explode within minutes. The crowd fell silent. Olivia stepped back, her face turning pale. The discovery sent shockwaves through everyone present. What had seemed like a child's nonsense was actually a life-saving warning. Daniel pointed to the fuel leak. See this crack? The vibration would have worsened during flight. The leaked fuel near these electrical components would have ignited. The helicopter's pilot examined the damage. My God, he's right. We would have been airborne when this happened. Olivia's hands trembled as she realized how close she had come to death. Her entire executive team, the pilot, co-pilot, they all would have died. How did you know? She asked Daniel. Your daughter heard something we all missed, Daniel replied, placing his hand on Sophie's shoulder. Sophie looked up at the adults. Daddy taught me about engine sounds. This one didn't sound right. The flight crew immediately called for a full technical inspection. Other engineers arrived and confirmed Daniel's assessment. This is a catastrophic failure waiting to happen, the lead engineer announced. Flight operations are suspended immediately. News crews began arriving, having heard about the incident. Cameras focused on the damaged helicopter and the small family who had prevented a tragedy. Daniel tried to shield Sophie from the media attention. He had no interest in publicity. He just wanted to get his daughter home safely. But airport officials insisted on taking statements. The investigation would need to determine how such a critical defect had been missed during pre-flight checks. Olivia stood apart from her entourage, staring at Daniel and Sophie. These two people, a working-class father and his young daughter, had just saved her life. What's your background? She asked Daniel directly. Daniel hesitated. I work in maintenance and repair. But how did you know about aircraft systems? Before Daniel could answer, Sophie piped up. My daddy used to fix airplanes for the Army. Sophie gripped her father's hand tightly and whispered, I remembered what you taught me, Daddy. I heard the explosion sound in the engineering books. Daniel looked at his daughter with pride and amazement. Official engineers completed their inspection and confirmed Daniel's diagnosis. The flight was permanently canceled. Olivia approached him directly. Who are you really? How could you detect that just by listening? Daniel remained silent for a moment, then replied, I used to be a military aircraft engineer. I left the service after my wife died, choosing to raise my daughter and work ordinary jobs. The crowd murmured in amazement. My God, a former military engineer now working as a maintenance worker? Olivia stared in disbelief, then looked at Sophie. This little girl saved my life. Word spread quickly. A poor father prevented a CEO's helicopter from exploding. Daniel wanted no attention and tried to leave with Sophie, but another engineer whispered to Olivia, this man participated in designing the X-92 engine, a classified military program. No one else has his level of expertise and trained hearing. The revelation hit like a thunderbolt. Daniel Cole wasn't just any repair technician. He was a highly trained military engineer who had worked on some of the most advanced aircraft systems in the world. You designed military aircraft engines? Olivia asked, approaching him again. Daniel sighed. That was a long time ago. After my wife Sarah died in a car accident, I left that life behind. Sophie needed stability, not a father who traveled constantly on classified projects. The media had gotten wind of the story. Former top military engineer now works as handyman, saves CEO's life. Daniel's military record, though partially classified, began to surface. He had been part of an elite engineering team, specializing in aircraft safety systems and failure analysis. You gave up everything, Olivia said, understanding dawning in her voice. I gave up a career, Daniel corrected. I gained the chance to be a real father. Sophie looked up at the adults talking about her daddy. She knew he was smart and good at fixing things, but she was beginning to understand that other people thought it was special. Airport security approached with apologies. Sir, we had no idea about your background. We're sorry for our earlier treatment. Daniel waved them off. You treated me like any other service worker. That's exactly what I am now. But the airport manager insisted, "You saved lives today. This could have been a massive tragedy." Local news stations picked up the story. Military hero hidden in plain sight. Single dad prevents aviation disaster. Daniel tried to avoid the cameras, but reporters found him anyway. "Mr. Cole, why didn't you tell anyone about your expertise?" "Because it's not relevant to my current job," Daniel replied. "I fix generators and maintain equipment. My military experience is in the past." But Sophie had a different perspective. "My daddy is the smartest person I know," she told a reporter. "He teaches me about how things work." The story went viral on social media. Single dad hero began trending. People shared the story of a father who had sacrificed a prestigious career to raise his daughter, only to use his hidden expertise to save lives. Clear twist. The single dad everyone looked down upon was actually a brilliant military engineer, and thanks to his daughter, he saved the CEO's life. Olivia found Daniel one more time before leaving. "You hid such an impressive past." Daniel smiled. "The past doesn't pay for Sophie's schooling or put food on our table. I only care about keeping Sophie safe and happy." The contrast was stunning. A woman who had built her identity around corporate success, saved by a man who had voluntarily stepped away from professional acclaim to focus on fatherhood. "Would you consider consulting work?" Olivia offered. "Your expertise could save more lives." Daniel considered it. "Only if it doesn't interfere with being Sophie's dad. That's my real job now." The story became a symbol of hidden worth and the importance of paying attention to unlikely voices, especially children who notice what adults miss. Media crews arrived, wanting interviews. Daniel refused. "I don't need publicity. I just did what was right at the right time." Olivia faced the cameras and declared, "Today's hero isn't me, but a single dad and his little daughter." Daniel took Sophie's hand and walked away from the flashing lights. Neighbors and co-workers heard the news and were amazed. A poor father saved a CEO? Sophie looked at her father with pride. "Daddy, you're not just my daddy, you're a hero too." Daniel gently replied, "Hero is just a word, sweetheart. Daddy just wanted to keep people safe." The story resonated far beyond the airport. Social media exploded with discussions about judging people by appearances, the wisdom of children, and the sacrifices parents make. Daniel returned to his regular job the next day, fixing air conditioning units and generators, but his coworkers looked at him differently now. "Why didn't you ever tell us about your military background?" his supervisor asked. "Because it's not who I am anymore," Daniel replied. "I'm Sophie's dad. That's what matters." Sophie went back to school, where her teacher asked her to tell the class about the helicopter incident. "My daddy taught me to listen carefully," Sophie explained to her classmates. "Sometimes grown-ups are too busy to hear important things." The story became a teaching moment in schools across the country. Children learned about the importance of speaking up when something seems wrong, even if adults don't initially listen. Olivia's company established a scholarship fund in Sophie's name for children of single parents pursuing STEM education. Daniel was offered numerous high-paying consulting positions, but he accepted only part-time work that allowed him to maintain his priorities. "Money isn't everything," he told Sophie one evening as they worked on a model airplane together. "Being present for the people you love matters more." Sophie nodded, understanding more than most 8-year-olds about sacrifice and love. The airport incident became legendary among aviation safety experts. It was used in training programs as an example of how critical observations can come from unexpected sources. Daniel and Sophie's bond grew even stronger. She had saved lives by trusting her father's teachings, and he had shown her that doing the right thing matters more than recognition. Do you believe that sometimes a child can see what adults miss? Type yes if you agree that we should listen more carefully to unexpected voices. The story at the airport wasn't just about a near disaster that was avoided. It's proof that true value doesn't lie in status or wealth, but in attention to detail and courage to act. Daniel Cole wasn't seeking glory or recognition. He simply wanted to raise his daughter with integrity and love. But in that crucial moment, he and Sophie saved a CEO and dozens of lives. The message is clear. Never dismiss the words of a child or judge someone by their appearance or current circumstances. They might hold the key to your survival. Behind every ordinary person might be extraordinary experience and wisdom. Behind every child's observation might be a life-saving truth. If you believe in stories that touch the heart like this one, please leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe to HA Stories. We tell stories that should never be forgotten.